exciting. Welcome, guys. I have the founder and president of CuGrip with us today, which I am unbelievably excited about. I think I say that about every podcast that I get to do, but you know, this has been a really fun project with us, and Larry, you and I talk each other's ears off anyway, so I figured why the hell not record it, right? You introduced me to Victor, and I think that we've just been plugging away over the last month. How long has it been?
Maybe just over. No, about a month.
Yeah, about a month.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, Victor, why don't you go first? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself here on MFGMonkey, and give the people the lay of the land of the Victor.
Sure. Well, thanks for having us on, Dustin.
Yeah.
So about myself, well, I founded Anvi Technologies, which is really just a tech company that owns CuGrip, I guess the copper product we're going to talk about here. And I founded that about 2 years ago while I was still in university, and I was studying to become a mechanical engineer. Finally graduated. Definitely took some detours along the way. It took a while, but finally out and doing what I love now, which is just creating some cool tech. And been doing that since.
Yeah, well, tell us a little bit about AnviTech. I know that you want to focus on CuGrip, but I think AnviTech's a pretty cool company as well.
It is. Yeah, it sure is.
This all started with our first product called Sapura, which is the first eco-friendly garbage disposal. So one of those food waste disposals you see in kitchen sinks that grind things up. We started building one that was eco-friendly, that didn't grind things up and separated solids from liquids under the sink. So it let people compost, but it was still super easy to dispose of your food waste at home. So that's what we've been, that's what we started with, and that was Anvi Technologies building that. And now heading into times like this with the pandemic, CuGrip is just kind of a good thing to start right now. Good thing to push out in the market for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did the idea of CuGrip even come about?
I think it was my wife and I talking about copper. I think we saw something online, and then some person had posted different materials with the COVID virus on there, and they said that copper actually destroys the virus. And we're like, cool, and started looking at some products, and I thought, there's got to be so many applications for this, right?
Yeah.
And sure enough, I found some great projects out there. Hospitals are trying it. They were putting it on bed frames. They're on door handles, things like that. But there was still a lot of problems, and I think that's why you don't see it in every hospital. It costs a lot to outfit your entire hospital out of permanent copper material.
Right.
It corrodes over time. And the thought was really, we got to create something that's easier than this, right? Why not just slap a thin sheet of copper on whatever surface you want to, right?
Sure.
These shapes could adapt to, pens, door handles, bed frames. Slap some copper on there. It does the job. You can take it off easily, and replace it when it corrodes.
Yeah. So give the listeners your website so they can go check it out while they're listening here.
Yeah, sure. So you could find us at CuGrip.com. That's CuGrip.com.
Cool.
The Q, we took that from copper, the element symbol for copper there.
Yeah, I just am overly excited about how cool of a project it is, and the product, and the uses and everything. I'm just flattered that Larry brought me into the mix here and brought Macmillan Co. into the mix, and just unbelievably grateful. So thank you guys. Larry, why don't you, we'll see. Let's make a bet, Victor. Can Larry tell us about himself in less than 10 minutes?
Impossible. Definitely impossible.
Yeah, now the challenge is out. Thanks, Dustin.
No problem.
And I really appreciate you having us on. I really do. It's so cool. And we do talk all the time.
Yeah.
So my background originally when I was in college was electrical. And I'm in my 60s now. So the fast forward on that was I went from electrical into alternative energy and renewable energies. renewable energies into high tech, and high tech took me into cybersecurity and some hardware. And over a course of several years, I was always involved on the business side of the business, not on the development side as much as on the business side. And that's how I met Victor. I met Victor. I can't remember exactly how I met him, but I know that we met somehow either through LinkedIn or something, and we end up, it'd be over a year ago now. We end up getting together, and he was talking about Sapura, and I was, making my suggestions along the way, and this is fast forwarding right to now. How I got involved with CuGrip was literally, and Victor, you call me if I'm wrong on this, but I think he called me about a month ago, and he says, I have something, and I have something, and I want to talk about it. And we talked about it, and I went away. Actually, the truth of the matter is we talked about it, but I went away and I did my own research. And then I came back to Victor, and the long and short of it was, I said, I'd like to come on this full time.
Yeah.
And that's when I dragged you in.
Yeah. Literally
dragged you in.
it didn't take too much fighting on my end.
Once
I saw what it was. So
yeah, exactly.
But it's been crazy fun. It's always interesting to me, the types of projects that get brought to me, and, being in the space that we're in, and the marketing machine that we have, and the fulfillment channels that we have, we get brought some pretty unique opportunities, and I don't say no to a whole lot. And some people, they will criticize us because we're so diverse, and then some people kind of get what's going on in my head, and it helps us right through these times, especially dealing with a pandemic, when one sector's up, the other's down, and whatever. This one really had me on my heels, though, because I had no idea anything about manufacturing copper, or processing it, or converting it, or how it was even done, and all those things, and we just worked through that together. And then the volumes that you guys were talking about, I'm like, oh gee, how the hell are we going to do this? And I think, just in well under 2 months, month and however many days, we've identified some amazing manufacturers that are going to support us. Once the machines get turned on, we'll be able to pump product out, thousands of feet per second, and it's going to be badass. And I can't wait to get the first truckload of your guys' product into our new facility where I'm going to sign the lease on, actually tomorrow morning. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So, with this going on, let's talk about the product specifically, Victor, and what, the research that you've done behind it to understand how it works. And the product is thin, which is very unique because you can apply it to so many different surfaces. So you have, an adhesive that's removable, but the product is, 0.002 or 2 mils thick, and then a protective coating. Yeah. So, talk about some of the projects that you guys are working on right now, as far as, customers and distribution, and how this is actually going to roll out to market.
Sure. I'll definitely touch more on the science beyond in the products more. And I feel like, Larry, you'd definitely be great at explaining how we're going to roll this out into the market.
Yeah, perfect.
We had to go within. At first, we were experimenting, and we tried a whole bunch of different types of coppers, and all of this was science backed, right? If you just type in copper disinfectant on Google, you'll see the first things that pop out is all the, the research articles or the articles done on people who, tried it in hospitals and different settings and stuff. Like that was something that was just known. We've known that for a long time. I even read somewhere that Egyptians used to use copper to clean wounds,
Really?
So it's, yeah.
Huh.
So it's just been known for super long. And now we got some science backing it up, actually, showing photos of viruses on and bacteria on the surface, being deactivated because of copper ions.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's how it works. And that's, when I found out about this, I really started digging deep in research and reading some experimental research, testing different strands of bacteria and viruses on different types of alloys. And yeah, finally we set on something we really believe in, and some that's proven. And had to go with a really thin copper, just because, yeah, we want to make it super easy. You can apply it on, whatever surface that you want to keep clean, right? So it had to be thin, had to be malleable, so it can fit on whatever surface. And been pushing that out since. And the cool thing that we have as well is the adhesive on the back is just super easy to, rip off. You're not leaving any residue behind. It's easy, you're not going to damage the surface.
Right.
And we also ship these with that protective coating that you were talking about, so that you take that film off kind of like a screen protector when you get your phone. It's pretty satisfying actually when you get it. It's like it's the nice copper shine when you peel it off, and then you get to stick it on your door. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But that also just keeps it from oxidizing during shipping and stuff. And
Sure.
now Larry, you want to take this? Now we're just rolling it out into the market.
Yeah, I think it might be helpful if I kind of back up for a bit and just, first of all, talk about the challenges when we first got going, because that leads into the business model that we took.
Yeah.
One of the first things that Victor and I recognized when we got going is that this is not a local market. This is not a continental market. This is a global market. And the product is global. And because of that, that's the reason why I think I called you, Dustin, the day after I committed to Victor that I was coming on. And I called you because we could have the best marketing in the world, and we could have some of the best commercials in the world. Right. But at the end of the day, we needed to be able to develop a supply chain that made sense for this kind of product.
Right.
So the business model we took was we kind of looked at your area, Columbus, Ohio, and went, okay, you're getting a warehouse. You've got a warehouse. We're going to have an office in that warehouse. The manufacturers are all within X amount of time around that warehouse. Yep. Let's call that CuGrip Central.
Right.
Seriously, let's just call that CuGrip Central. So for the rest of the time right now, it made sense for us to reach around the world and find the right people in the right geographical locations to be CuGrip distributors.
Right.
So they're almost like our family. They're going to have a warehouse there, same as we've got a warehouse. They're going to be able to fulfill product online, same as we can fulfill a product online. They're going to be able to supply wholesalers and resellers. But the whole point is using Ohio, using containers, because that's what I like about Ohio is its transportation is central to everything.
Yeah.
And once I really grasped that when you and I first met a few years ago, I went, okay, well, we can get anywhere in the world in 25 days. That's pretty cool.
Right.
So if we get the distributors set up, we can send them an entire container. Yep. They can be all set up and they can be ready to rock and roll. Well, we've got 1, 2, 3. We got 4 of them that are already, and your listeners have to really appreciate. 4 weeks ago, there was nothing. There was no supply chain, no warehouse, no distributors, nothing. We had a product. We had these things.
Yep.
And here we are sitting 4 weeks later with a very sophisticated supply chain, incredibly sophisticated. Victor has made a spreadsheet for our costing that is second to none. I'd put that up against any company in the way that our numbers so that we understand our numbers moving out to our distributors and then moving out to their resellers and their wholesalers and their retailers. We know the numbers now.
Right.
And the numbers tell us that, number one, we can get product to the right places in the world quickly. Right. And that's what started to bring the quality of the distributors up.
Right. Yep.
So, we would have been, looking back now over the last 4 weeks, and I'm not blowing wind here, and I know I shouldn't speak for Victor, and I won't, but we would have been in a heap of trouble if we hadn't called you in. A heap of trouble. Yeah. Because we had no supply chain. We would have had a great story. We got a great story.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have had any product.
Right.
It'd have been coming off a thimble.
Yeah. Well, so, that's flattering. Thank you.
But that's the whole thing is that we're pulling in the right kind of people into this project that that we need to be successful in a world that right now wants an answer right now.
Yeah.
They don't want it 2 months from now. They don't want it 6 months from now. They don't want it a year from now. Can you get this wrap on the market quickly?
Right. Yeah. And that was one of the challenges that I know I didn't take it into consideration at all, was the lead time. One of the first factories I went to and visited, it was during the time where nobody wanted any outsiders in their facility, period, whatsoever. Totally understandable. And, one of our main things is visiting places physically to make sure they're real, get to know the people, have the face-to-face. I talk about likability all the time, and it's so true. We want to befriend our partners, right? Yep. So, during that time and that very short courtship, we got pricing, we got all this stuff, and then the lead time was 6 freaking months. And I called it, and I'm like, I think there's a typo. Like, you spelled weeks wrong here. And they're like, no,
six weeks seemed definitely, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I was ready for 6 weeks, right? I mean, 6 weeks it's longer than what we want to wait, but 6 months. And the guy explained to me, he's like, well, the copper market is down so much right now. Their main mill that they buy from in Germany, this company, I would love to know who this company is, just out of pure curiosity. But they are shutting down the entire month of August to try and help correct the market. That's amazing to me, right? That one company can shut down their production, and they think, and I'm sure that they know more than think. I'm sure that there's, analysts behind all this, and they understand exactly what they're doing. But if they don't do it right, they could really, they could destroy their business. I was talking to a couple of other, big factory owners, and they're like, if that goes wrong at all whatsoever, you could possibly bankrupt your company pulling a move like that. But anyways, they're gonna shut down production for a month to try and correct the market because the pricing of copper is so low. So where we thought that we were, what's that?
Oh, I was just gonna add, it also makes me think, like, they're trying this, I'm sure they have their reasons, but it's also, take us for example, and I'm sure a lot of other companies in our position as well, they were our first choice. We were going to go with them, but now we're going with another supplier. And I'm wondering, like, their effects, it looks like they have a global effect on companies, and there might be others like us who had them as their first choice and are now going elsewhere.
Yeah.
So
and the great thing is,
what'll happen with that.
And I know you guys are, in Canada, so it doesn't, it probably doesn't mean as much to you as what it does to me, where the second place that we went, it's all getting sourced here in the USA. So where the first place that we went to it was going to be brought in from Germany, And we were all fine with that. It's a big global supplier. Quality was amazing. The company that we went to was amazing. The people were great. And then where we thought that we were ahead a little bit, somebody just strapped the parachute on our back and we got brought to a screeching halt. And that was the first time with you guys that I'm like, well, shit, what are we going to do now? There can't be another one of these companies that is this niched. And I got back on the phone and had some referrals and ended up contacting another company that I actually forgot that I even sent an NDA to, and they just weren't super responsive in the beginning. And then I reached back out to them and they're like, oh yeah, we have several, tens of thousands of pounds of that exact material in our facility already. So we literally, as soon as we tool up, could have parts to you within weeks. We're like, okay, that's luck,
that was
right?
amazing.
Yeah. So that's amazing. Yeah. So that is in the pricing still great. The the way that they're going to run the parts, we're all learning together because they're running so many parts. And how many part numbers, SKU numbers do you have now, Victor? 11?
We're actually over 11 now. Yeah, there's
okay.
Definitely a lot of ships. We're closer to 20 now.
Oh shit. Okay, I have 11. So
yeah,
I've only done
the 11 drawings.
Yeah.
There's the 11 drawings. Yeah, but
yeah. So I guess I've only done 50% of the work that needs to be done as far as the quoting goes. But yeah. So it just worked out really, really, really well. And we don't know. It'll be interesting to see, when we start seeing material certs where the copper is actually mined. How many mines are in the world? Copper mines. I know you guys
there's quite
know.
a few.
Is there quite a few?
Yeah, there's quite a few, but there's some dominant ones as well.
Okay.
Part of being in this business for the past month, like I took it on myself that I wanted to learn about the mining business, and I wanted to learn it from right from the ground. How's it shipped? It's mostly shipped by train in its raw form, and then it ends up at another depot that will either ship it around the world to be milled and then smelted and then turned into cathodes. But you really start to understand the dynamics of there's a group in Dubai that, for example, when I heard you talking about shortages and what have you, there's a group in Dubai that wants to do something about copper in a big way. And they want to put manufacturing there and what have you, but that's for a different day. But
right.
But I'm kind of bringing all that up because a company like CuGrip, we will be going through a lot of material. It's no longer 100 pounds here and 1,000 pounds there. I mean, you get a line going 24/7, and it's putting out 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 20 million parts a month. That's a lot of copper.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Any way you shake it, So
yeah. What have you guys done the math on that? Like, what if we run?
I think Victor did.
Yeah, Victor, you sent me weights, which is pretty awesome, just so we can kind of plan on how many parts per pallet we're going to get in, and just so we have an idea how we're going to process things. And our team is working on that process and procedure. And we brought in actually Teresa, that we did a podcast together not too long ago. Her team of super ninjas has joined our forces to help us really figure out our processes and write job descriptions for people that we'll need to bring on and things like that. But as we're looking at this, the weight of 1 million parts, and I know that you have a lot of different SKUs, but like the shopping cart, which I think is amazing, right? We talked about the shop. I mean, the shopping carts alone, I think is probably just. I did the math one day on how many shopping carts were just like with a Costco. It's
exactly.
It's like I did the math and I'm like, is that number real?
Wow. I know.
And but yeah, just
funny.
the because copper is a heavier metal, right? I mean, it's
getting there,
yeah, it's getting there. So, how much does, or how many parts can you get on a truckload at 40,000 pounds?
40,000 pounds. I think it was, on a truckload. I think it was like 600,000 wraps.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And that's our big ones, isn't it, Victor? Like that's
our, well, I remember.
There's a mixture.
Well, that's half, like a truck is about like half a 40-footer, the maximum for a 40-footer tanker, right? So yeah, but then we can double that on a 40-footer.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the 600, Larry, you're right. That is a mixture of different shapes.
Right. So 600,000 parts. And what would the weight of that be? Around 40,000 pounds?
I think it was, if that is how we calculate it, I think it was. I can't remember off the top of my head anymore, but
yeah,
must have been around there. Yeah.
So it's pretty significant. Just, it doesn't seem like it when you look at something like this. I'm just holding it up right now again, but you look at something like that and you think to yourself, well, that can't weigh much. But then you go times 600,000 and they're 2 feet long.
Yeah.
And they're all flat packed to be shipped correctly. They're not put into our fancy packaging. They're just raw going out to a distributor. That's a lot of weight.
It's a lot of weight, and it's a lot of product. But if you 600,000 pieces of something it sounds substantial, right? But if you break that down, the average grocery store has 250 carts or buggies or whatever your geographic area calls these things. But that's only 2,400 stores. That's not a lot. And
I know.
I have no idea how many,
it's a good point. It's
grocery
a really
stores
good point.
are, in the States or in Canada, but you just start thinking about the number of things this is really, really going to help. And people just stay home because they don't feel comfortable. I did the same thing today. Feel that I'm fairly healthy and, I don't have a problem putting on a mask, and a lot of people, there's a huge pushback. I have my opinion on it, but if that's what it takes and people feel comfortable and that, whatever, I'm gonna adhere to the social norms to, help people feel comfortable.
Me too.
But the one thing that the bus line they talked about was just, it gives a visual aid of security. And I think that's an amazing part about this product is, I know for me, when I go into a grocery store anyways, I'm anal enough where I will, even before the whole COVID thing, I had my own Clorox wet wipes. I would wipe down the handle on the cart just because I'm just germaphobe like that. I don't know who was picking their butt before in pushing that cart around earlier today. So, but with the shopping cart, it would give you a sense of security that, okay, well, anything that's on this is dying, and I'm probably still going to wipe it down, but it just gives that extra level of security.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like I should also, that's actually a good segue. And I should also explain our vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
With CuGrip was, it is for everyone. Like I have it at home. My wife and I put it on all our light switches and door handles. It's just everywhere. But a big part of our vision with CuGrip here is to help businesses reopen right now. Every business needs to clean door handles, all of that. They need proper procedures for that. And they should still do that, but that can be very hard to keep up with. You can imagine on a public bus, are you going to have people stationed there just cleaning, 24/7 as people are getting on these? It can be really tough to keep up. And our vision here was just to give businesses that are reopening an extra layer of protection.
Yeah.
And it's visible. That's a big thing. People know where to reach for, when they're opening a door, they'll see that bright, shiny copper that's disinfecting, and they know to reach for that. And that's what we're trying to do here. Just help businesses reopen.
Yeah. And companies they're spending millions of dollars trying to reopen. Restaurants, we're doing a project for a major restaurant chain from coast to coast, and they're spending, I think the entire project, we have a piece of the project, the entire spend is over $3.5 million.
Wow.
To put things in place to make their customers feel safe to come back into their restaurants. And they're obviously a huge restaurant chain to spend that kind of money. But it's a significant economic spend, and it's, as bad, the economy and most people had their best quarter in many, many, many years in 2020, right? We get on and we do these, we talk about, first quarter everyone was just excited. There were a few sectors that were down, but, the economy in the whole was just banging for 3 months. And then all of a sudden you just ran right into a brick wall. And for then 3 months, everyone's like, how the hell are we going to stay alive? And then coming out of this, we've been just busier than ever because they're trying to reopen. Everyone is still very, very energized, and people want to get back to their life. They want to, some sort of normalcy in their life. And, like with your guys' product, it's just, it's going to allow people to do that. I think it's going to give that sense of security and help businesses open, and people are going to be grateful to buy your product. It's not a huge investment, to outfit our office, with 8 offices and places that people are going to, I haven't done the math on what it would cost us, but it's not as much as what people are spending on other things. And it's probably more effective than, having a piece of plexiglass sitting on the bar between you and, whoever you want to talk to on the other side. So. Yeah,
we did there's something very interesting going on around the world with a lot of corporations that they're trying to match their words with their actions.
Mm-hmm.
And the example of that is one of the transit companies we're working with. They told us, this is their line, not from us, that they want to be seen to be doing something right.
Mm-hmm.
So it all stems from this little back and forth that Victor and I laugh about all the time. And it will sound weird when people first hear it, but you can't see clean. So in other words, a company could have done a whole bunch of things, but you don't know that they've done all of that because you can't see that.
Right.
Hospitals are the prime example. They go by the shiny factor. If it's shiny, it must be clean. Well, that's not true at all. But with certain clients, they not only want to do the right thing, they want to be seen to be doing the right thing.
Yep.
So you get a high visible product like copper,
mm-hmm.
and then you educate, and because we're talking about, we get taken to task all the time around how long do viruses last on copper and all the variables involved. But ultimately, at the end of the day, when you put this kind of a product on, the next morning, you're maybe talking from instant contact to maybe 2 to 4 hours maximum with viruses living on copper. But the next morning,
right,
it's self-sanitized, and you didn't even have to clean it.
Yeah.
That's not a shutout for the product. That's a shutout for the companies that might miss a doorknob.
Right.
Where it'll live for 48 hours or 4 days or however long, and whatever the material is.
Yeah.
So there's some payback, not just in labor, but in being seen to do the right thing.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right. There's a major restaurant. I always screw this word up. So, restaurateur or restaurant.
You got it right.
Entrepreneurial restaurant owner, and I always screw it up. So everyone can make fun of me, whatever.
We just did.
Right. But they're a 5-star restaurant. They have multiple restaurants around town. Wonderful people, wonderful service. Larry, I think that you and I may have we ate at one. Yeah, when you were here. But they always have 5-star reviews, and somebody slammed them on Google reviews the other day with a 1 star because they didn't feel that the staff was taking this pandemic seriously enough.
There you go.
I mean, and I was like, holy crap. Like I mean, this place they're all about service, and for them to get a review like that, it was kind of mind opening. And the very next day they had a press release about it immediately because they were, you know, and I'm sure that they were embarrassed by it and things like that. But it's, you know, people want to feel safe when they go out. In my opinion, you know, if I don't feel safe, I stay home, right? But a lot of people don't have that opinion where they're going to go out and expect everyone around them to think the way that they do. And, you know, is that right or wrong? You can make up your own opinion on that. I have mine. But people still want to get back to their normal lives, even if they're freaked out. And
they do.
Yeah, and I think that example really speaks to that, where, you know, this person really isn't comfortable going out, and they're going out anyways just because they're tired of being at home. So yeah, the high vis fizz product like this, it's just going to add to that. You know, it's like somebody wearing a face mask. It gives the other person comfort that they can see that you have a face mask on, and there's 50 studies that say that they're very effective, and there's probably 50 more that say that they're not at all. But it gives that visual comfort, you know.
Right. Well, you know, the whole thing with COVID, and I'm incredibly interested in the entire subject. I read as much as I possibly can. I'm engaged in it. It's all about layered. It's such a complex issue. It is, you know, people are trying to make it political. Well, that's going to happen. People are have their own opinions. That's going to happen. There's a piece of philosophy in here is, when does an individual's rights become more important than society's? Or let's reverse that statement. When can society have a bit more right than an individual? These are all very heady topics. But the bottom line is that the disease itself is complex. So when I'm talking, because I talk all over the world. Today, I've talked to 5 different countries today. There is different ways of dealing with it. But the bottom line is, for us, is that this is a layered solution. Like we're one layer of many different things that have to take place.
Sure.
And it all begins with education. All of it begins with education. Yeah. So so all of these products have to line up. There's spray products out there. There's, as you say, the masks. There's really good education out there about not just washing your hands, but how easy it is to spread something. Some nurse went and did that with black ink, and it was unbelievable how much black ink was around the room.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I saw that too.
Did you see that? Yeah, it was. Yeah. So there's a lot of learning to be had and a lot of education, and then you start mixing politics in there, and you start mixing in. I must be safe because my app on my phone says I'm safe. Well, that's not quite true.
Yeah.
So we want to be known as a company that's playing within the solution side.
Yeah.
And we're not overplaying what we do. We're not underplaying it. We think we have a significant role to play.
Yeah. And I agree. And I think that the product speaks for itself. And, there are a lot of people out there taking advantage of the situation, just like anything out there.
Yeah.
And there are companies like yours that is a solution. It is going to help. It is going to help businesses open. It is, it's just going to help. I mean, I don't know how else to express that. And you're going to see it in hospitals and restaurants and homes, and I mean, just on and on and on and on. And it's amazing. I'm not smart enough to come up with anything like this. So I'm I'm just happy that I get to be a support piece. And our team is very, very excited about it. And everyone's going to have a sense of just an accomplishment each day, being a part of the solution where there's so much uncertainty, and a lot of pride is going to go into that as well. And as soon as it gets out there, people are going to start demanding it. Well, I went to this restaurant and they had this, copper grip on. Why don't you guys have it? and they're going to start doing their own research, and people are going to demand it for sure.
I like being around a product that the science is unequivocal.
Mm-hmm.
The science is done, but they continue to do more science. We ourselves, one of the things that we haven't even talked about this afternoon is our what's called an environmental sustainability and governance mission
mm-hmm.
with what we're doing, which is so cool. It's on our website, so we don't have to get into it that deeply. But when you start talking about the impact you can make, that's going to allow us to do what we want to do with children's hospitals, with COVID heroes. There's many different programs we can spin out of this with this product and give back to the community.
Yeah.
And I'm really enjoying that aspect of it as well.
Well, and Victor, talk about your vision of being green, if you will, and what that means to you, because I know that is very, very important to you. Just being an economic or an eco-friendly company, and not, just leaving less of a carbon footprint than what a lot of other companies that create products. They really don't even take that into consideration when they start manufacturing, what's the coffee machine? Keurig?
Yeah.
We probably all have one.
Right, yeah.
I got one for Father's Day, and I used the hell out of it. And the guy that created that thing released something years later. He's like, if I would have known the negative impact on the environment, I would have never created it. Which is pretty strong. I mean, the guy's probably doing fairly well because of that product, and he realizes that he caused a bigger issue within our environment than, just having coffee quickly. But anyways, I got on a soapbox there, but that's a very, very important.
But I agree with you.
Important subject to you guys.
Point.
Yeah.
And that's something I've always been focused on. Especially, I guess this started with our first product, Sapura, which is an eco-friendly garbage disposal, right? That's the point, keeping
mm-hmm.
food waste out of landfills, out of our drainage systems, and use it, to make energy or fertilizer. So that's been the goal right from the start with Anvi Technologies. And when we come up with new products like CuGrip, of course, I like to keep that in mind. And that's exactly what we've been creating here. We're in a very cool position where our product is one of the easiest things to recycle.
mm-hmm.
Metals, the recycling process to recycle metals is just super, super easy. And you can take copper to recycling depots and even get money for it. That's how great it is to recycle. So the way that we ship these is, everything's paper, and the rest is copper.
Yeah.
So it's the entire product, packaging, and when you're done with it is recyclable.
Yeah.
So there's nothing that you're it's not like buying a phone where there's that electronics waste, right? The entire thing can get put into a closed loop. And the way that we're trying that is, or the way that we're approaching it is, keeping everything close by. Our suppliers are really close to you. Thus, then warehouses will be placed really close to you. And so as little traveling as possible to get this done and get our products to our customers. Just closing that loop and tightening it as much as possible, and keeping that in mind as along the way.
Well, and I knew that was important to you. So when I started having a conversation with the packaging company that we're working with to have special packaging designed, that was one of the things that I brought up is, if we can do something that's green, and if we can do something that's recycled, just to continue that, because not all the packaging is going to end up being recycled just because of the nature of how people do things. Some people just don't, they just don't care. But if it comes from something that's already recycled and it's, then we're kind of paying it forward with the packaging that's being used. So, I'm
for sure.
I'm excited about that, and the company that's helping us with that is they have a global footprint already, and they'll be an amazing source that will support us and give us great ideas, and just all the people that we're meeting throughout this process is pretty cool, because everyone loves the mission. Everyone wants to be part of something fun and good, and there's a philanthropic aspect to it, and for me, that's always been very important. I started my first company that was 100% philanthropic backed, and it failed. I spent a lot of money trying to make that company work, and at the end of the day, I just learned that some people just don't even they don't even care. I was part of a philanthropic organization here in Columbus, and I thought, oh, all these people buy they buy this product, so why wouldn't they buy their product from me, because we have the same business plan and the same idea. And we were more expensive, and they're like, no, we're going to go buy from this company, they're less expensive. And I'm like, but your mission is to be philanthropic, and I know that we're our pro forma makes us a little bit more expensive, and they're like, yeah, we just don't care. And I'm like, wow, that means something. So when Macmillan Co. came around, it's like, okay, we're going to concentrate on making money, and then we can do with whatever the hell we want to do with our money. And
absolutely,
and part of that is giving back to the community and being very involved. And Ohio State reached out to us, which was crazy timing. Ohio State's MBA program reached out to us to do some internships, and a lot of that is process improvement and case studies and warehouse design and all these things. And it was so funny to me that it was something that I was super, super worried about, being able to support you guys and just understanding the fulfillment end of things. And, how the hell are we going to fulfill 5,000 packages a day? I don't know. I've never done that before. And the next day I get a call from Ohio State University MBA program that, some of their people are majoring in logistics and fulfillment. And I'm like, holy shit, how did that happen? And it's just really, it's eerie how, how these things unfold. And I'm like, absolutely, I'd love to have you guys in. They're like, well, a lot of them will work for free. And I'm like, no, why would I not pay an intern a fair wage just because I can? It's like, no, come in, we'll figure out a good payment for you, and that's what we'll do. And we'll be very involved with, a great university that does great things for cancer, and we have Nationwide Children's Hospital here that's absolutely phenomenal. So just the network of everything that once this product launches, and after people start listening to this podcast and they understand that it's here in Columbus, Ohio, it's really going to mean a lot to the city, I think. And, Columbus just released a mandate yesterday. It's mandatory to wear a mask in public now, 100%.
Yeah, it's going like that in a lot of cities.
It is what it is, right? I mean, it's not a law. We have this little thing in America called the Constitution. I think it's interesting that what they're mandating people to do. Does it make sense? Sure, I could argue both sides of it. Am I going to bucket and carry the Constitution around with me just because I want to be that guy? Me 10, 15 years ago, probably. Today, not so much. I have bigger things to worry about than, proving a point to people I don't know, so.
Well, the one that got me the most, and I know it's a little bit off topic, but it's in the right vein of what you're talking about, is how about that family? 50 family members show up for a barbecue and 50 family members got COVID. That really was an unbelievable write-up.
I did not read that story.
Just devastating. And it was all, I'm going to use a word that may not be familiar to a lot of people, but there's words that I use internally. Are stuff like super carrier. Mm-hmm. So a super carrier is wandering around and has no idea that they are spreading the disease quicker than you can say your name. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what happened at a family barbecue. Is everybody was feeling a little bit more comfortable.
Oh yeah.
And instead of 5 people showing up, 50 people were there. They were all from the same family. Mm-hmm. And all 50 people got COVID. One of them died the next day.
Oh my God.
It was just a devastating article, but it goes to show that I can have a lot of rights, but dead is dead. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like being on a bike. I can be on the road on my 15-speed bike, and I've got a lot of road rights, but you're going to lose against a truck.
Right. Yeah.
Well, COVID's the truck.
Yeah, and it is, serious, and it. I mean, quite honestly, it scares the hell out of me. You know, my neighbor right across the street was diagnosed with COVID. My son was out back working, painting their deck, and the guy came to the window and he's like, "Hey, just so you know, we're a COVID positive home," and you know,
that's wild.
Yeah, and
it's
my son finished the job and he comes home and he tells me, I'm like, "Well, why'd you stay?" He's like, "Well, they were inside, I was outside," you know, and he goes, "I felt comfortable," and I go, "Okay, but you can't go back there to do any more work just because you're going to get it and you're young and you're not going to know it, and then you're going to give it to me, which is going to give it to, you know, Aunt Colin, and you know, and it's just going to
kids don't think that they can kids don't think that they can die, but you take somebody like my daughter who has Crohn's disease, she has no immunity. So
you
know, so whatever age you're at, if you have a pre-existing condition that deals with immunity or lungs or breathing, like anybody that's got asthma.
Yeah.
Boy, I'll tell you, if you got asthma and you get COVID, you got yourself a heap of trouble.
Yeah.
One of my very close friends over in Eastern Europe, in business, close business friends, he got COVID and he didn't even go outside.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he got tested with COVID, and it just blew me away.
Huh.
And he was compromised. So he's still coming through the other side of it. So, you know, where I come from in a lot of that right now is that we're hearing from people that, an example, one city that we're talking to gets a world championship next year. And they want to start working on coppering the city because they don't know what stage the world's going to be at 1 year from now. But you can be guaranteed that there's going to be something. So, you know, so the added conversation we had was, you know, they can use in their PR, they want to use that it isn't just about COVID. It's about flu. It's about colds. It's about viruses.
Yeah.
And that's the message that they want to have as they're moving out this program to do the city. And it's and again, it's one of those situations where that's not the end all to beat all. It is one piece of a very complex issue of the world's coming in to play sports.
Well, and it changed our life as we know it forever. You know, when we're gone, this is still going to leave an impact, and it's just going to change how we interact as humans for the rest of our lives. I mean, before March, I could probably count the number of video chats I have been on. And it's typically when there's, you know, more than two people and you need to share a screen and everyone needs to look at what you're doing. Today I've been on like 10.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, what the hell is going on? And it's about a simple phone
about a 5.
Yeah, like the girl that's, you know, that we're looking at office furniture, you know, we're talking. I'm like, why didn't we just have a phone call? And she's like, I was kind of thinking the same thing, but we're just so used to sending a Zoom call now. And it is nice. You get to interact. And, you know, I'm kind of a recluse anyway. So if I don't do this, besides my son and my daughter, how I could go a week and not see another person, you know, which, so this really hasn't changed my lifestyle a whole lot anyways, you know? So I'm probably the least excited about getting a new office because that means I actually have to go somewhere.
I love the people that are using the backdrops, you know, the software.
Oh yeah, I have that.
Meeting the other day, and this guy's got this view of like he's on the 80th floor, and I says, "Okay, now you got to do me a favor. Show me what's really." He was in a closet.
That's hilarious. Well, I was teasing Dan. Dan will not appreciate me telling this story.
Okay.
But Dan and I are one of my sales engineers. We were on a Zoom call, and he was like in their spare bedroom, and they were getting ready to move. And it looked like a bomb went off in his room. And I'm like, dude, just put a backdrop in. Like, you are not having conversations with customers like this, are you? And he's like, I didn't even think about it. And I'm like, so I've done some different ones. Like this one is, whiskey barrels,
nice.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
This
that's
one
good.
I
I like
feel-
that one.
I
Oh
kinda
yeah, there's
feel
your
like
whiskey.
I'm in a dungeon, but
Yeah.
you know, I had a couple other ones. They don't work real well without a
No,
a green
because
screen.
you got a little halo around you.
Yeah,
I know.
but
How about the lady? How about the lady that was on the giant Zoom meeting and went to the bathroom? She had her phone and she left her phone on, and then she just proceeded to get up
No.
and go to the bathroom.
there are some horror stories.
Oh,
That's
one
gotta happen so often now. Yeah.
Well,
I
because
would think so,
you're just
yeah.
talking, you're like, do.
Yeah.
Probably the most embarrassing one, and I'll keep this as PG as I possibly can, but it turned into not being PG. A guy was in a big Zoom call, and there were like 50 people on this Zoom call for work, and he thought he left the call, and he like got up and went and got some tissues, and then went and got some some lotion, and he was not blowing his nose or fixing the dry skin on his feet. And
no.
it was embarrassing. Like I watched it, like I watched it all because I was laughing my ass off watching it. But I'm like,
You watched it all.
is this guy really going to do what he's doing? And then I think right when it really got inappropriate, I think somebody was smart enough just to like kick him out of the
Click.
meeting.
Yeah.
You know?
Click.
Yeah.
But I mean, this dude was like, he was in it to win it, and he had something good pulled up on his computer that was keeping his attention away. I'm like, holy crap! That's like the
that's
most
funny.
embarrassing. I mean, you don't recover from that. I mean,
No,
that's
you don't.
That's a viral. That is a
that's
viral.
gonna go everywhere.
Yeah. You Google that
Well,
right now, and you'll find it.
I mean, that lady I'm talking about, if you search for that right now, it's been watched something like 1 billion times. Because I mean, she went to the bathroom and somehow
Just didn't even think about it.
nobody hit the pause button for her.
Yeah, I, I'm a jerk. I probably wouldn't have hit the pause button either. We're like, hey, Karen, you're pooping right now. That's great. Thanks.
That's right. Well, now that we've gone completely in the toilet.
Yeah, that's all right, though. Makes it fun.
It is.
So,
It is.
Victor, you are a little red, though. I think I embarrassed you.
I was still laughing at that first story, but I'm thinking like, oh man, it's so mean of the people that post that online. I don't know how that gets out there. It's just like, I'm sure there's so many things like that happens.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, it doesn't make it online because people are decent enough not to post it. But then, yeah, of course, these are the
that
ones
guy
that
pissed
get
somebody
posted.
off, and somebody's like,
Oh,
yes,
probably.
this is a
Yeah,
softball.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But
This
But
is
no,
too easy.
I walked, my wife's in classes, and this was, already just the most embarrassing one for me so far. I walked, thank God I wasn't naked, but I was almost naked, and I walked right behind for the whole class to see.
that is
It is.
great.
Oh, yeah.
Good work.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, before we leave,
Uh-oh.
if you're wondering about the colors today, this is my homage for Brooks, Oregon.
Oh, that was
So
a
that's
steamboat
south
show
of
you went
Portland.
to. Yeah.
What's that?
That's a steamboat show you were telling us about.
Absolutely. It was the steam show. 150,000 people. Brooks, and there's only 5,000 people that live in Brooks. It's unbelievable to go there.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's why I'm wearing this
That's awesome.
for you. Yeah, you Americans.
Yeah, and what's on your hat? Is that a bulldozer?
No, yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's case. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's all out of the same thing. So this is in my.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know whether have you guys actually done the suit and tie thing yet with shorts on? Oh, I've done that dozens of times. Dozens and dozens.
At this point, I'm in a t-shirt.
I haven't been bothering with the time.
No, but I mean,
Everyone
like,
knows now.
like before COVID, if you were going to go on a Zoom meeting with somebody around the world, you'd put a suit and tie on, right?
Yeah.
So I got really good at the suit and tie. And like, I'd have my underwear or, my shorts.
I was going to say, at that point, why even bother with the shorts?
Well, yeah, because I mean, everything's right here. So
Exactly.
I'd have this tie. I mean, I look like $1 million. Well, as good as I can look, but and if I stood up, it'd just be no.
You'd be TikTok famous is what you'd be.
What's that?
You'd be TikTok famous is what you'd be.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah, you got it. Nobody needs to see a 6'5" guy with no
No britches
No.
on, huh?
No britches on. No, nobody needs to see that.
Oh shoot. It is crazy times that we're living in, and it's a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
it's and I think you gotta have that that outlook on life right now. Is you just have to figure out, and we talk about this all the time, just bobbing and weaving and figuring things out, and the market's shifting, so you have to shift with it, and and you got to laugh at these things because everyone's doing it. I mean, there's how many subscribers did Zoom think that they were going to have when they launched?
Oh,
I mean, it was like,
yeah.
I don't, whatever it was. Say it was 5 million subscribers. They ended up with like 500 million, and then you have some.
And then Teams came along and said, we want a piece of that action. So they really went hard on Teams.
Yeah.
For Microsoft.
Yeah, and it is a little overwhelming, I think, where one person wants to do a Zoom call, one person wants to do a Skype call, one person wants to do a Teams call. What am I missing? Google Meets.
Google Meets. GoToMeeting.
You got to get a bit of everything on your computer.
Yeah.
I've got set up for everything.
Citrix.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, all right, already.
Well, and there's some private ones too.
Oh,
you can get Uber. And
oh yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, there's Uber. Yeah. So like, there's lots of them, but I don't know how Zoom beat out GoToMeeting, because those were really the two incumbents of GoToMeeting was, or you call Citrix.
Yeah.
And Zoom were the two main ones that I've used, because I've been doing this for decades.
Yeah.
So for me to do online is just the way I do business. So
right.
I had them all. Skype, I used them all. But when this whole thing started and Zoom took the lead, but then everybody found all these holes in it, they also took a bit of a bashing.
Yeah. But it's amazingly easy to use, and that's what we subscribe to as a company is Zoom, and it's less expensive. It's very easy to use. We're able to do this podcast via Zoom, and the audio. I mean, it's not like all of us sitting around with a fancy microphone and headset, and it sounds really, really good, but it sounds pretty damn good to do a Zoom call hooked up to a computer, and I don't think they sound bad. Every once in a while you'll hear my dog bark or something like that, but it is what it is, and nobody even cares anymore.
Not anymore.
So
this is the norm.
This is the norm.
Absolutely, yeah.
But cool, man. Well, I'm sure we could keep telling stories and laugh our ass off some more, but what is there anything else that we didn't cover that you guys really want to talk about, and we can get things wrapped up?
I think that's all I had in mind, Larry. Anything anything else?
I appreciate the opportunity to do something like this. And people to hear it firsthand who our number one partner is. Now that is not meant for the podcast to in that that we're blowing wind at somebody.
Yep.
You are an integral part of this company.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're unbelievably fortunate and excited, and any other positive adjective that I could possibly think of, but just very, very appreciative, and we can't help or can't wait to just see how we can help and see where this thing goes. It is going to make a positive difference in the world, and that's really weird to say when you talk about making a worldwide difference, and you don't always get that opportunity. There's millions and millions of people that never have that opportunity, and Victor, you figured out something that's going to make a positive difference in the world, and you have somebody crazy enough as your partner now that is going to make that happen, and he and there's a big saying that people that think that they are going to make a difference in the world are crazy, and I truly believe that they are, but I don't think that people really put a positive aspect on that, because if you don't believe in it well enough, and people tell you that you're wrong, you start to believe it unless you have that part in your brain that those things just don't register, right? And I think that so many people have wonderful ideas and they care too much what other people think. So there they get stifled, and they don't do it because their mom told them it was crazy, or they don't do it because their best friend told them that was the dumbest idea. And I think as an entrepreneur, you have to have that piece that just, you don't care. I didn't do this podcast for years because I was afraid of the criticism that I would get. And then finally one day I was like, who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, who really cares? If you're going to make fun of me and whatever, make fun of me enough that it creates so much interest that it drives more people to listen to the podcast, and that's just kind of the where I am at it with life. And that's the fun thing about it, is giving back and hopefully inspiring other people that have great ideas. It's like, run it until it's dead. Absolutely run it until it's dead. And if and when it takes off, then you have nothing to lose. And if it fails, then figure out the next idea.
I had a really, really cool call last Friday, and it was from a VC I've known for a number of years. I'm just going to end on this quick story.
Yep.
He just said he's been following us for the last 4 weeks, and he says what we've done in 4 weeks, he just finds incredible. And he says, you better be keeping track and you better be taking notes, because Victor's going to be doing a TED Talk.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And I'm glad that I'm the first one that had you on. So,
but that's how far we made it in 4 weeks. And, and the next 4 weeks we got product out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just, wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
The past 4 weeks feels like an entire year.
Yeah.
It is. It's such a great feeling to accomplish as much as what we have in such a short time. I mean, there are companies that it takes years to launch a product. I work for a company, I promise you, product that we were designing pre-2012, I promise you they still have not launched it.
Yeah, that's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense.
Yeah. And for us to figure out how to put a supply chain together and deliver millions of pieces is fun. Jeez. It's a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So,
thank you.
Thank you guys. Go to CuGrip, CuGrip.com. Check those guys out. Reach out to them if you want to email us at info@MFGMonkey.com. We can certainly hook you up with these guys and get you all the information that you need. Call us, email us, give us feedback. We'd absolutely love to hear your thoughts, and I'm sure that we'll have you guys back on here in a month or two and give you another update. But
absolutely,
thank you guys so much for coming on. I very, very appreciative of that.
Look forward to it.
Dustin.
All right, thanks guys.
Thanks guys.